What Richie McCaw really said about the Springboks. Richie McCaw has never been a man of loud words or dramatic headlines. Throughout his career, the legendary All Blacks captain built his reputation on actions, discipline, and quiet authority. Yet when McCaw speaks about the Springboks, the rugby world listens closely. His comments are often stripped of hype, but filled with respect, insight, and an honesty that only a true competitor can offer. What he really said about the Springboks reveals far more than rivalry. It reveals admiration forged in the toughest battles rugby has ever seen. McCaw's relationship with the Springboks was shaped on the field, not in interviews. From his earliest tests against South Africa, he understood that facing the Springboks was different from facing anyone else. He has often described them as the ultimate physical and mental challenge in rugby. For McCaw, the Springboks represented a team that never broke, no matter the score, the venue, or the pressure. That unbreakable nature left a lasting impression on him. When McCaw spoke about South Africa's physicality, it was never dismissive. He acknowledged that the Springboks set the standard for forward dominance. According to him, matches against South Africa were not won in moments of brilliance, but in the trenches. He emphasized that every carry, every ruck, and every tackle felt like a statement. You were constantly reminded that if you dropped your intensity for even a minute, the Springboks would punish you. One of the most important things McCaw highlighted was the Springboks mentality. He noted that South African teams do not rely on confidence swings or momentum in the same way others do. They believe deeply in their systems and identity. Even when behind on the scoreboard, they remain calm, trusting that pressure and discipline will eventually turn the game. McCaw respected this because it mirrored what he valued most in the All Blacks: composure under fire. McCaw also spoke about how the Springboks forced the All Blacks to evolve. He admitted that New Zealand could not rely solely on skill and speed when facing South Africa. The Springboks demanded accuracy, patience, and physical courage. They exposed weaknesses brutally. In many ways, McCaw suggested that some of the All Blacks' greatest improvements came directly from preparing to beat South Africa. Without that rivalry, New Zealand might never have reached the same heights. On leadership, McCaw was particularly complimentary. He often pointed out that South African captains carried a unique weight. Leading the Springboks was not just about rugby. It was about history, identity, and national pride. McCaw understood that pressure and respected those who embraced it. He believed Springbok leaders were shaped by adversity, making them formidable opponents who thrived in hostile environments. When discussing Springbok success at World Cups, McCaw was honest and measured. He acknowledged that South Africa had mastered tournament rugby. According to him, the Springboks knew how to win ugly when necessary, how to grind through knockout matches, and how to peak at the right moment. He never reduced their titles to luck or refereeing decisions. Instead, he framed them as the product of preparation, belief, and ruthless execution. McCaw also addressed the myth that South Africa lacked creativity. He rejected that idea, explaining that Springbok creativity simply expressed itself differently. Rather than flashy offloads or constant movement, their creativity lay in set-piece dominance, tactical kicking, and defensive pressure. He believed this style was often misunderstood, but extremely effective. To McCaw, creativity was about problem-solving, and South Africa solved problems in their own way. Perhaps the most telling thing McCaw said was about respect after battle. He often mentioned that matches against the Springboks left no room for excuses. Win or lose, you knew exactly where you stood. There was no hiding. That clarity earned his respect. He admired how South Africa embraced confrontation rather than avoiding it, turning physicality into an art form rather than a blunt weapon. McCaw's comments also revealed something deeper about rivalry. He never framed the Springboks as villains or obstacles. He framed them as necessary. He believed rugby needed South Africa to remain strong, because the game is better when the Springboks are powerful. Their presence raises standards, sharpens competitors, and keeps traditions alive. For a man who valued the health of the sport, That mattered deeply. In retirement, McCaw has spoken more openly about how those battles shaped him personally. He admitted that some of his hardest moments came against South Africa, where leadership was tested to its limits. Decisions had to be made under extreme fatigue and pressure. Those experiences, he said, prepared him for life beyond rugby, just as much as they prepared him for trophies. What Richie McCaw really said about the Springboks was never meant to provoke headlines. It was meant to tell the truth. He saw them as the ultimate test, a team that demanded honesty from opponents. His respect was not polite or ceremonial. It was earned through collisions, scars, and unforgettable contests. In the end, McCaw's words reveal the highest form of praise in sport. The Springboks were not just rivals. They were the benchmark. And when one of the greatest players in rugby history says that it carries a weight no trophy ever could, as time passed and the rivalry between the All Blacks and the Springboks evolved, Richie McCaw's reflections became even more nuanced. Distance from the battlefield allowed him to appreciate the rivalry not just as a contest of teams, but as a meeting of philosophies. He often spoke about how New Zealand and South Africa represented two powerful interpretations of rugby, each deeply rooted in culture and history. Neither was right or wrong. Both were essential to the soul of the sport. McCaw emphasized that preparing to face the Springboks required a different mindset from any other opponent. Training weeks were heavier, more intense, and mentally draining. Coaches warned players that mistakes would be punished brutally. McCaw recalled that even small lapses in discipline could shift momentum irreversibly. Penalties conceded in Springbok territory often translated into scoreboard pressure, forcing the All Blacks to play a tighter, more controlled game than usual. One of McCaw's most revealing points concerned fear and respect. He admitted that if a player said they felt no fear facing South Africa, they were either lying or inexperienced. The fear was not paralyzing, but sharpening. It forced focus. It demanded preparation. McCaw believed that this emotional edge was what separated elite test rugby from ordinary matches. The Springboks, more than any other team, brought that edge consistently. He also spoke about the Springbok pack with particular reverence. According to McCaw, South African forwards imposed a psychological challenge even before kickoff. The set-piece confrontations were statements of intent. Scrums were battles for dominance, not just possession. Lineouts were pressure tests where physicality and timing combined to create constant stress. McCaw understood that winning these areas was not just about technique, but about belief. McCaw's respect extended to South Africa's defensive systems. He described Springbok defense as relentless rather than reactive. They did not simply wait for mistakes, they hunted them. Line speed, physical collisions, and intelligent spacing created an environment where attacking teams felt suffocated. McCaw admitted that even the most creative players struggled to find rhythm against such pressure. For him, this was defensive mastery, not negativity. He also acknowledged how the Springboks evolved over time. McCaw rejected the idea that South Africa remained static while others modernized. He pointed out that Springbok teams adapted their kicking games, conditioning, and tactical awareness to meet new demands. Their core identity remained physical and direct, but they layered it with intelligence and adaptability. That evolution kept them competitive across eras. When discussing World Cups, McCaw returned repeatedly to South Africa's mental strength. He believed the Springboks understood tournament rugby better than most. They accepted pressure rather than resisting it. They embraced knockout tension as a natural state. McCaw contrasted this with teams that tried to play free-flowing rugby in moments that demanded pragmatism. South Africa, he said, rarely made that mistake. McCaw also reflected on moments of shared respect between players. Despite the physical brutality of matches, post-game interactions were often warm and genuine. He described conversations with Springbok players filled with mutual acknowledgement rather than animosity. These were not enemies, but equals. The battles were fierce precisely because respect ran deep In later interviews, McCaw suggested that rugby fans sometimes misunderstood the All Blacks, Springboks rivalry as hostility. He disagreed. He saw it as interdependence. Each team sharpened the other. Without South Africa, New Zealand standards might have slipped. Without New Zealand, South Africa might not have pushed innovation as hard. Their rivalry was a cycle of improvement, not destruction. McCaw also addressed officiating controversies with notable restraint. While he acknowledged frustrations, he emphasized that blaming referees after Springbok matches was a waste of energy. According to him, South Africa thrived in environments where discipline mattered most. Complaining only distracted teams from addressing their own shortcomings. This attitude reflected McCaw's broader philosophy: accountability wins more matches than excuses. As rugby moved into a new era, McCaw expressed hope that the Springboks would remain a central force. He worried that if South Africa ever weakened significantly, international rugby would lose a critical pillar. Their physical style, cultural pride, and competitive edge balanced the global game. For McCaw, rugby needed contrast to stay alive, and South Africa provided it. Perhaps the most powerful insight McCaw shared was personal. He admitted that some of his proudest moments came not from beating the Springboks, but from surviving them. Walking off the field exhausted, bruised, and mentally spent was proof that he had been tested at the highest level. Those experiences defined his career more than comfortable victories ever could. In reflecting on his own leadership, McCaw credited the Springboks for shaping him. Captaining against them forced him to communicate clearly, stay calm under relentless pressure, and lead by action rather than words. They exposed weaknesses quickly and punished hesitation. That environment forged resilience. What Richie McCaw really said about the Springboks was never exaggerated praise or rivalry theater. It was a statement of truth.